Hi, and welcome to our Facebook Friday. Today I have pre-recorded our video so that I could get this posted on time because I have some other obligations going on this afternoon. So with that being said, we are going to be using one of the new online exclusives. This stamp set is called Banner Sayings, and it has a lot of really cute stamps in it. It says, "You are loved," "I'm so grateful," "Consider yourself hugged," "You're the sweetest," "I can't thank you enough," "Wishing you good things," "Happy birthday," "Here's to you," "You did it," "Cue the confetti," "Celebrate," "I'm here for you," "Thanks a million," and "Sending my love." The other thing that's really nice is the bundle for this set. I don't know if you can see this. I think there's a glare, but it comes with 3 different banner punches that come all in this one set, and they're just super cute, and they fit all of these sayings, which is really nice. It gives you the ability to use any of these stamps and cut them out with this, and you don't even need die cuts necessarily. So that is what we're going to be using today for our cards. And the DSP that we're going to be using, I'm going to set that there so I can find it again, is one of the new online exclusives called Brushed with Beauty Designer Series paper. And this paper is just gorgeous. The colors in it, there's lots of different patterns, and there's florals. There's also some that are more background type papers, but it just is really pretty, and there's a lot of different selections for whatever you might need really pretty cards for. So with that being said, let's get started with our first card. Oh, and if you would like to get a kit to make the 3 cards that we are making today, you can use this QR code, or you can go to my website at inkycreationsbylinda.com, and you will see a link to shop with me. If you place an order by next Thursday, which I don't know the date right off, but today is, making sure I tell you this right, today is the 5th, so next Thursday should be the 11th. Then you will get a card kit to make the 3 cards that we're making today. It will include everything you see here with all of the cardstock, the DSP, the punched out labels, as well as there is one die cut that we're doing on the last card. That will be done for you. You will also get enough ribbon and embellishments to make your card work. The only thing you will not have are the stamped images. So you can either use the stamps, order the stamps that we're using today with the banner sayings, or you can use a stamp set that you already have. So that is the way that you can do that. I will also include envelopes in your kit. So let's get started with our first card. So on this one, we are going to be using a Calypso Coral card base, which is really pretty. I love this color, and I don't think I use it very often, but it's just really pretty. And this is a card that's going to be landscape. Okay, so let me set that off to the side. So the first thing we're going to do, you'll have a piece of DSP. Let me get you a few measurements. This DSP is 4 by 5 1/4, and so we are going to glue that down to our card front. And just glue that flat. And then next, you will have a piece of vanilla that is 3 5/8 by 4 7/8, and then a piece of the flower. And the one I am using has the Lost Lagoon pattern on the back. And so that is the flower pattern that I'm using. So we're going to adhere these 2 pieces together. There we go. And then we are going to be using the irregular weave ribbon. This is actually on the last chance list, so if you are wanting this, I would get some sooner rather than later. I really like this ribbon. I think it's very pretty, and it's just kind of a, I don't know, it kind of reminds me of something you would see in nature, but just real pretty. So to do this, I am going to do my cheater way of attaching my ribbon just to make sure it doesn't come apart on me. Let me undo that a little bit. And I'm just going to put a piece of this kind of in the center and then go like that. And then we're going to trim off the edge here. And then I am going to put some tear-in tape on my edges to keep this secure so that I don't have to worry about it coming off of the Stampin' seal. I just feel like it makes sure that it's not going to come off the back of your card. There we go. And then I am going to use dimensionals to kind of, let me grab my large dimensionals to kind of pop this up a little bit. Just give it a little bit of extra 3D effect. And you can put as few or as many as you would like. So I really debated on what type of cards to do today because I kind of feel like we're so close to Christmas that if you're still making Christmas cards to send to friends and family, you probably already have figured out what you're going to do. And so I just decided we're going to do some regular generic cards because we can always use plenty of thank you, birthday, and congratulations cards. So that's what we are actually making today. All right, so I am using Calypso Coral ink, and then this is a piece of Petal Pink cardstock, and I am going to use the stamp that says Happy Birthday. So I'm just going to ink that up. I really like these stamps just because they're kind of small. They would be great to do, like if you're doing some of the little things where it's like the long skinny packs and usually it's in cellophane and you put like the Hershey's nuggets and stuff. These would be great for the toppers on those for the springtime if you are into doing craft shows or anything like that. All right, so now I'm going to use our punch that we talked about earlier. And I am going to use the one that is our very top one and just punch this out so you can see how easy this is. There we go. And then, let me set that off to the side. And then we have our cute little happy birthday banner punch. And let's grab a couple of the small dimensionals and just adhere this. I'm going to put it kind of on top of the ribbon. I am going to use more than just 2 on this because I want to make sure that it adheres to the card as well as the ribbon so it doesn't come off. You could also use glue dots if you'd like. I like using the dimensionals for these type things just because I feel like it kind of raises it up just a little bit. All right, and then I'm going to take this ribbon and I'm going to make a bow with this. And this ribbon is a little bit stiff. It's not super soft, but you can make a bow with it. But sometimes you do have to work it a little bit extra just because it is a little bit stiffer. But like I said, it is on the last chance list. I did not check today to see if it was still available, but it was yesterday. So, and I believe they also discounted it. It's great for anything that you're wanting to give like a fall effect to. But anyway, I just think it's really pretty. So let's trim this and set that off to the side. We'll trim the other side. There we go. And then I'm going to just use a couple of glue dots. And I am putting 2 glue dots on it just to make sure it really can stick really good, and put it like that. And then the embellishments that we are using have white, calypso coral, and crumb cake. And this is the one that is the Pearls of Beauty. And this set actually goes with the same designer series paper that we're using today. And so we are going to just pop a few of these on here. I think these pearls are beautiful. I'm not sure how well they really show up in the video, but in person, they are just really, really pretty and kind of just bring out that calypso coral. It's very nice. So this is card number 1. All right. So let's do card number 2. And it is going to be using a pecan pie base. Let me just put a couple of things up here so that I don't end up getting ink all over stuff. Okay, so we are going to be using early espresso ink on this one, which is going to go with our pecan pie. But this paper is just gorgeous. And we're actually going to be using 3 different designer series papers on this one. On the inside, and I didn't say this on the last card, but I will give you a piece of Very Vanilla to go on the inside so that you will have something to put there. But on this one, we're going to put a piece of Very Vanilla on the inside. And then we have, and that is 4 by 5 1/4. Let me get you the dimensions of this because I do not remember them right off the top of my head. And then our inside designer series paper is 5 1/4 by 1 1/4, and this is 4 by 5 1/4. I think I said that, but just to be sure. All right, so let's go ahead and adhere this on the inside first, and then we'll do the front of this card. I really like the vanilla paper with this. I just feel like it goes really well, and I don't know, there's something about whenever we're using a lot of these Lost Lagoons, Calypso Coral, and Mossy Meadow type papers, it's really nice to use the Very Vanilla with it. Okay, so here we go. And I'm just going to glue this to the edge of this so that I cover up all the edges. I could have cut your vanilla paper short on this to save paper, but when I was designing it this week, I just decided to have it go all the way to the edge. And that way, if you wanted to change that, you could. All right, so then we are going to take this paper, and this DSP is 2 3/4 by 5 1/4, and we are going to glue this flat onto the front of this. And you could probably even get away with a background or a base, a card base that is early espresso. I wanted to use the pecan pie because I love the combination of the crumb cake with the pecan pie, but you could certainly do that if you wanted to. All right, before we start gluing this part together, I want to stamp on the bottom right corner of this with early espresso ink, and it's going to say, "I can't thank you enough." The reason I do this first is because I have been known to stamp crooked, and if I do, I can always flip it over and give myself one more chance. There we go. I think that one actually came out pretty good. So let's put our ink up so we don't mess up. Okay, so now what we are going to do is glue this onto our early espresso or cardstock that you have. So let me give you the measurements. The early espresso is 3 by 4. This vanilla piece is 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. And then you will have a piece of striped DSP that is 2 3/4 by 3, and it's just going to get glued onto the top of your very vanilla. And then you will have another piece of the flower DSP that will go across the middle, and it is 1 1/4 by 2 3/4. So let's go ahead and adhere all of that together. Yeah, we'll use this. Sometimes I debate whether to use Stampin' Seal or glue. I like glue because it's a little more forgiving. Some people like the Stampin' Seal because you don't have the messy glue. So it just kind of depends on whatever your preference is. I like having the extra time for wiggle room because I've been known to not get it on straight right at first. And so it's nice to have that 10 seconds or so to kind of move it around a little bit. So it's just whichever one you're more comfortable with. There's no right or wrong answer. All right. Oops. There we go. See, that's what I'm talking about. I want to get it even and not crooked. All right, and then you're going to have this final piece of DSP, and we are going to put this across the center. The other thing I found is if you don't put a ton of glue on your paper, then it doesn't ooze out the sides, which is nice. But sometimes that's easier said than done, depending on how new your bottle is. I think that has a lot to do with it. All right, so before we put this down on here, we are going to put this like this. I want to wrap my ribbon around this, but because you'll be able to see whenever you open it, this one part right here, I want my edges to be over here. So I'm just going to put some Stampin' Seal on this side so that I can make sure that I grab it there and that it doesn't end up having edges where it's super visible. Okay, so we are going to start here and then just put that on the center. You can adjust it as you need it and then wrap it around. And then on the back side, you want to kind of push that down a little bit. And then again, I'm going to use my tearing tape to secure that. So let me just grab a piece of that. And this is nice because it really just kind of sticks it down and secures it so that you don't have to worry about that. And then I'm going to use Stampin' Seal this time just to put some here and here to adhere this to the sides. So let's put some there, put a little more here. There we go. And then I just want to eyeball this and get this where I want it. So that looks good. Okay, and then we are going to tie another bow with this irregular weave ribbon. This is probably the biggest challenge with this ribbon, is just getting it to tie a bow. And it's a little bit stiff, but it's not impossible. I've worked with some that are a whole lot harder. So, you know, if you're wanting it just to go around things and just to give you that edging, it's great for that. But it is a little bit more challenging whenever it comes to the bow tying. All right, let's see if I can make this loop just a little bit smaller. Sometimes it's like the strands get caught. There we go. All right, I think that's probably what I'm looking for. So then let's trim our edges. All right, and then use a few glue dots, and we are just going to put this in the center of where we have that running together. And do it just like that. Okay, so now for the pretty part, we're going to use our embellishments again. And on this one, I want to use the crumb cake embellishments. And so I'm going to put a big one there. Let's put a smaller one up here. And then maybe you could probably use either side. I'm going to use a small one and put it right there just to kind of tie it in together. And this is card number 2. Okay. All right, so now we're going to make card number 3. And it uses a crumb cake base. If I can get the pieces out, there we go. And it is going to say, we're not going to do anything on the inside, but again, I will send you a piece of Very Vanilla to put on the inside. And then I should have, yep, I do. So you have a crumb cake base. This is going to be a flat piece of cardstock that is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then you will have a piece of Very Vanilla that opens up, and it is 4 by 10 1/2. And so we are going to adhere this to our card base like this. And so we are just going to put some adhesive on the back. I like these kind of cards. I don't do these super often, but I just think they're a little bit different and they're just kind of unique. So sometimes that's kind of fun. All right, and so we're just going to adhere that down. If you want, you can also open this up and press it down a little more just to make sure you have a good adhesive section going there. All right, and so then on the front, you are going to have, and again, I could have cut this smaller, but I did not, and I probably will not in your card kit. You have a piece of, I believe this is 3 3/4 by 5. And so we are going to adhere this to the front, just flat. I really like the paper in this Designer Series paper pack. You know, there's some beautiful florals, but then there's also just some really neat background and complementary papers that go with it, and that's kind of what I tried to gather here. Again, I could have cut this smaller because now we're going to take this piece, which is 1 1/4 by 5, and we are going to put it on the right hand side. But while I was designing it, I was kind of cutting as I went, and I went, ooh, I could have made that smaller, but I didn't want to go back and recut. So you can, if you're making this on your own, you could obviously save some of this paper and cut it 1.25 inches short and do it that way. So we're just going to glue this on the right side of this DSP. But I love the way these two papers just really kind of go together and just give it that extra boost. All right, and then in your kit, you will have these tag die cuts. So will already be die cut for you. So these come from the Pattern Tags dies. And I do not remember if these are on the last chance list. I want to say they are, but I could be wrong about that. But I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on some of these thicker strands so that I can adhere this together. And then we will attach these two tags together. But I really like the tags in this set. All right, if I can do this without making a mess. Let's see. Get my edges even. Or try to. There we go. That's a little better. There we go. But I really like they have these diagonal stripes. There's also one with snowflakes and one with, I don't remember, let me look. Here it is. Here's the dies. So you've got the snowflakes, you've got the leaves, and then the diagonals, and then here's the plain die cut. There's also a ribbon die cut, and then also this bigger hole if you want that. So I really like this die set. It's just super cute and kind of functional. All right, before you put this on, because otherwise you're going to want to just shoot yourself in the eye, but you'll want to take a piece of this and cut this, and then we are going to do our best. What I did is I folded it at the top kind of in half and then just kind of twisted it so that I could get it to go through this hole. And I think if this ribbon wasn't so thick, I wouldn't have to do that. But it actually, whenever I do all that, it actually goes through pretty easy. And then once you get it through, then you're going to take your other ends. Let's see if I can get this to come apart. There we go. And we are going to push these through to the back. I'm trying not to get this off camera so that you can see what I'm doing. And just pull that through. There we go. And then you can kind of pull one part of the ribbon at a time if you would like, if you find that that's easier. The good thing is if you cut it bigger than what you need, you can always go back and trim your ribbons to where they look good, which is what we're going to do. Because as you can tell, like one of mine wound up a lot longer than the other. So now I'm just going to trim the other one to where it looks like it was supposed to be that way. We'll cut that. So then I am going to use dimensionals to pop this up and put it on our card front. So let's grab some of the large dimensionals. There we go. And then we are just going to kind of put this at an angle like that. And then we will take the crumb cake scrap that you will have in your card kit, and we are going to stamp "Consider Yourself Hugged." And then obviously on the inside, I will have a piece of Very Vanilla, and you can use one of the other sayings that are in your stamp set, or you can just use that to write a note. You know what? I'm going to stamp this from this side so that we can make sure that we can use the banner punch on the one that we want. So on this one, I want to use this middle punch that has the little edges on both sides. And so this is one thing. So obviously you wouldn't want to have something up here if you were going to use this. So I am just going to put this in here and make sure to get it, or try to get it straight. There we go. I think I could probably move it over just a tad. There we go. And then just punch that out. But as you can see, it also punched out this top piece, which you can save for later. This is going to be trash. And then here is our punch. And so I am going to put this right here. So what I'm going to do is just put some Stampin' Seal on this side and put a dimensional over here so that I can get that to pop up where I want it to. And I'm going to use the smaller ones because I felt like the bigger ones would probably stick out a little bit, and I didn't want to do that. And then let's just put a little bit of Stampin' Seal on this side. There we go. All right, and so then we are going to take this and put this right here. And then we will use our embellishments again. And let's put, let's see, we're going to kind of bring out, I almost made this tag like the Calypso Coral, but I wanted to draw out these Lost Lagoon sections. So that's why I use that behind there. But if you're duplicating this card at home, obviously you can put whichever colors you would like. I like the vanilla on top because I feel like it kind of tones it down just a little bit. Because at first I just had the plain Lost Lagoon tag and it felt like it was just a little bit too strong. Okay, then I'm going to use some of the crumb cake small embellishments and put one there. And then let's put one other one right here. We didn't really use the white. You could use the white, especially since, but I kind of feel like this has more vanilla than it does white. So that's why I really stuck to the crumb cake and the other one. So here is your card. And like I said, you could write stuff in here. You could put a little bit more DSP in there, whatever you wanted to do. But I just felt like it was kind of a fun card. And it's pretty flat. So whenever you mail it, it will probably not need any kind of extra postage, which is nice also. So here are the 3 cards that we made today. So we have this one, and we have this one, and then we have this one. And if you would like a card kit to make these 3 cards, you can use this QR code, or you can go to my website and place an order with me for $35 by Thursday, I believe it's December 11th, and I will send that to you the following week. Other than that, I wanted to, and I don't have them close by. I have a couple of posts on my Facebook as well as my YouTube of my club cards this month. They are using the Lights of Aurora. Actually, they are right here. They are using the Lights of Aurora suite that is in the new mini catalog. And if you would like to get information about how to get this, you do not have to join the club in order to get this card kit. you can get information at inkycreationsbylinda.com, and there is a page for the monthly card club, and you can get that there. There is also a sneak peek of these cards on my YouTube as well as on my Facebook page, and so if you would like to see that sneak peek, you can see those again there, or you can rewind this video and see it there. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you next Friday. Have a great day.